here on the Anik and Florian podcast. All right, right back to the guest line now. You saw him, of course, throughout the lead up to the money fight on Showtime. UFC veteran, host of The Fighter and the Kid, Big Brown Breakdown, stand-up comic, father of the year. What am I missing? Brendan Schaub is with us. Thank you for the time today, bud. How are you?
What's up, brother? Long time no talk, man.
So, dude, I know it's hard to be the father of the year with your travel schedule, you know, and I can feel your pain a little bit with that. But your life right now is certainly a balancing act as the comedy tour continues. You got any downtime, or is it right back to the stage?
I mean, I have some downtime. You know, I'm not going on any big major tours again for probably till October, November. So, you know, September, October, I'm going to chill a little bit, but I still have my dates. I have a date in San Francisco on the 14th this month and Long Beach. But other than that, man, now that this Mayweather and McGregor stuff is over, I have some downtime. So I'm chilling, man, at home with the kiddo.
So I guess when you're paid for hot air, you keep talking, and even after a fight like this, you know, there's going to be a little bit of a trickle until you can finally catch your breath. But you know, part of me is happy this fight is done. Like, I just want to move on to mixed martial arts, and hopefully Conor McGregor wants to do that with me. Like, I know this was exciting for you, and you were entrenched and right in the middle of it, but are you kind of glad here Monday morning that this thing's done, or no?
Yeah, you know, to me, it's good to have, you know, order restored now. It was fun. It was a once-in-a-lifetime fight. You know, now I'm just looking forward to. Now, here's the challenge to the UFC. Here's the challenge to boxing, anyone involved in boxing, but especially with the UFC, is now what? Now what are you guys going to do? And I think the news with John Jones couldn't have come at a better time if you're John Jones, because no one has the energy to take that animal on right now. Now that this fight's over, all kind of the eyeballs are going to get pointed at John as far as what's going on with him. You know, is he out? Did he really take stuff? So I'm just ready to get back to normal life, and I think there's a lot of good things the UFC can do, but they have their challenges ahead of them as far as finding the next big star. What's next for Conor? What's going to happen with John? You know, that light heavyweight division needs John, so it's interesting, but I think they can really capitalize on things right now.
Hey, Brendan, you know, first of all, props to you, dude, because, you know, I know there was a huge backlash when you were picking Conor, and, you know, one of the hardest things to do is when everyone around you is just, you know, saying the opposite, but you kind of sticking to your guns, thinking that Conor was going to win. What did you think of Conor's performance after that fight against Floyd?
Yeah, as far as, you know, the hate from everyone, stuff like that, let's 49-0 for God's sakes in boxing. Obviously, that's the easy choice. I don't like that. That's too easy for me, and I look at things from a different perspective, and I like the glitch in the video game. I like those outliers, and I think Conor's still an outlier, and I thought he was going to do well in the fight. I actually thought he was going to do better than he actually did. You know, I was around mainly boxing experts. You know, I was around Amir Khan, Andre Berto, Terrence Crawford. All those guys were in the back, and they were blown away. They go, geez, Conor looked great, man, those first 5 rounds. We had no idea, and I went, what do you think was going to happen? He was going there and just, like, shit the bed or something? You didn't think he was going to do anything? Like, not like that. That was amazing. And I was like, yeah, I was actually a little disappointed. I was like, I thought Conor was actually going to do better, man. So, you know, as far as the hate and stuff like that, you're going to get it no matter what. You're going to get it no matter what if you have a viewpoint on anything. But I think as long as you back it up and you speak from a good place and you're not just doing it for ratings or for headlines, I think people know that. And I was super passionate about this project, man, and I was excited, but I'm glad it's over, man. But I thought Conor, and for boxing in general, I was so proud of Conor. I saw him in the back. That's all I could say to him. I was just so proud of him for what he did, the way he represented the UFC. Floyd Mayweather, too. It was good for combat sports.
Well, listen, man, there's no doubt Conor McGregor's an absolute stud. And now I feel like, you know, now he can kind of make that Floyd Mayweather kind of legacy in the UFC now and go back to doing what he does best. But watching the fight, and again, there's very few people in the weight class anywhere near the weight of Floyd Mayweather who could pull off what Conor did. However, watching the fight, I feel like Floyd just kind of gave him those rounds, not because he wanted to tire him out. Yes, I'm sure that was a part of it. But to me, it kind of looked, you know, when a black belt's kind of going with a blue belt and they're just kind of playing around and extending it and kind of entertaining themselves. I felt that's what Floyd was doing. And it makes it look like I'm kind of shitting on Conor. I am not. I would never be able to get anywhere close to that. But I do feel like Floyd was playing out there and not being Floyd. When he decided to kind of be Floyd, and I still feel like he never even put it into sixth gear, I felt like, I don't know, maybe he was carrying Conor a little bit.
Well, listen. If you read any mainstream paper, you watch any mainstream show right now, anyone can paint the narrative they want to paint. Oscar De La Hoya, oh, Floyd's given those rounds. Canelo, he wasn't really fighting. Conor didn't win those rounds. And now Kenny, was he really fighting? Kenny gave him those rounds. Well, if you listen to Floyd, what he said in the post-fight press conference, and even after the fact backstage, they go, what were you most surprised by? He was honestly, I thought I may have turned on earlier, but his boxing skill surprised me. I wasn't allowed to turn on as early as I wanted to. The one thing that didn't surprise Floyd was his power. We knew he had power, but I've definitely been in with bigger punchers, but his actual boxing surprised me. And that's why I wasn't able to take over as early as I wanted to, and that was him winning the rounds. So I think maybe the first two rounds you can say that, but, even Paulie, talking to Paulie in the back, he goes, man, I got to be honest, I'm glad Floyd kind of lost those first few rounds because when I sparred with Conor early on, I couldn't get anything on him. Early on, you don't know what to expect. It's very hard to calculate, very hard to get with it. And then after 4 or 5 rounds, you start turning it on.
Brendan Schaub with us here on the Anakin Florian podcast. So do you want to see Conor McGregor box again?
I don't. What I want for Conor is I want Conor to make the most money as possible and get out of the sport. So if he wants to fight Paulie Malignaggi, if he can make more money doing that, I guess do that. What I would like to see in my heart of hearts, I'd like to see him come back to the UFC, fight in Dublin at a sold-out soccer arena of 80 screaming, thousand Irish fans, maniacs, in front of Nate Diaz. I'd like the Nate Diaz trilogy. I think that's the only fight to make. Outside that, there's not a lot for Conor. I'm sure you guys argue Tony Ferguson, Kevin Lee. I don't see it at this point. Khabib's not even on the radar. The whole tiramisu and he can't make weight and all that, he's not even on the radar.
That's interesting. So in terms of his payday, though, right, don't you think he can go to Dana White and Ari Emanuel and say, look, I need $30 million to show for Nate Diaz, and they meet his number, right?
See, and that was my takeaway on the whole John Jones thing. I'm sure you guys have spoke about it, but the one guy who benefits from John Jones being out is Conor McGregor, because there's only 2 superstars in town. It's Conor McGregor and John Jones, and John Jones is a second-tier superstar compared to Conor McGregor. So now all the chips are in Conor's corner. So I think you're going to have a little bit of a hold-up. I'm sure him and Dana are in good regard, so I'm sure you can go to Dana and go, listen, I know this is what my contract says. This is what I'm worth, my man. I just made $100 million, so I'm the only fighter in town that can demand this sort of stuff. Let's figure out a deal. So that's something they're going to have to figure out. That's business, and Conor's proven his worth, and I'm sure Dana realizes that.
All right, a few more minutes here with Brendan Schaub. You mentioned you want to see the trilogy fight with Nate Diaz, and of course, for the third fight, presumably there would be championship stakes. You got into it with Nate Diaz a little bit, or so it appeared after the fight. Was he challenging you on something relating to your fight analysis? What was that exactly?
No, yeah, I've been getting blown up about it.
Everyone wants a piece, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of silly, man. So after the fight, I'm in the back. And, I was speaking with Andre Berto, Amir Khan, Terrence Crawford about the fight. And Showtime asked me to do this post-fight show interview thing. And so I'm with the Showtime executives. I'm trying to get through the back. And I see Nate by himself. Well, when I see Nate by himself, I think, oh, home team. There's no UFC representatives there. We're from the same fraternity. So I see him. I don't have any issues with Nate. I see him, I go over to him. And what I was going over to him to explain is that I think he has a huge opportunity here, and not to shit on Conor McGregor and that the fact that he got stopped, but to say that, Conor did well, he actually performed well, it's good for the sport. Now I'm fighting him, I bet I can finish him in faster time than Floyd did. Something like that to get the heat of this fight going. So I was going to him to talk about that stuff. So I see him with his head down, and I go over, and I go, bro, heck of a fight, man. Hopefully you're next for the biggest UFC of all time. Going over to be cool. And he goes, "Oh, shit," and starts laughing. He goes, "Don't you feel like a moron?" And I'm like, "Excuse me?" Again, listen, bro, I'm in a suit. I got skinny jeans on and some Gucci designer shoes, for God's sake. I'm not trying to fight. And he goes, "Don't you feel like a moron?" I go, I'm a little taken back. I'm like, "Excuse me?" And he goes, "You're talking all this shit, and your boy got tore up." And I go, "Nate, what are you talking about right now? He won 4 rounds, bro. Like, he did good for us. It's good, man. This is better for you, for your fight." And he just keeps going off. And then I get it, because Nate, you know, his first instinct is to fight. So me and him are going back and forth, which me versus him in a verbal sparring match is a bad idea for him. That's what I do for a living. So he can't come up with any new material, so then he starts calling me bitch this, bitch that. And this is where I messed up. Again, I'm not trying to fight, man. I'm in a suit and skinny jeans. For God's sakes, I'm a dad at 34. And he's saying something. I can't understand him. I turn around and go, "Nate, use your words. I can't understand a word you're saying. Use your words." And that triggered him. And then he flipped me off, started doing this stuff. And I just turned to him. I said, "Bro, I have 0 issues with you." Yeah. So my takeaway from this is Nate was there, you know, to kind of capitalize, and hopefully he's the next one in line to fight Conor. He needs to market this fight. He pointed his gun at the wrong guy. I actually like what he's doing, because at least we're talking about him now. But, bro, I'm retired. I'm a comic, for God's sakes. I tell dick jokes and wear Gucci shoes. I'm not the guy. So if you need to point your gun and aim it towards Conor, man. Like, but I was coming over to help him with marketing for the fight. That's all I was doing. So there's no beef there on my side. I like Nate. I think emotions were high. He's in the back. There's the fight. So I get it, man. There's no hard feelings on my end.
All right. Couple rapid fire very quickly with Brendan Schaub on the way out. I know you're a coffee connoisseur. We drink a lot of shitty coffee at like these UFC arenas in foreign countries. Will you drink shitty coffee? You will, right?
Oh, man, it better be pure desperation. And generally, okay. I don't. I'm a little bit of diva when it comes to that. I make few demands, but in the green room and for Showtime, they know to have some fine coffee for me.
Well, maybe if I establish more goodwill with the UFC, I can actually ask for some elevated coffee on the road. All right, AFC West loaded. I got to at least ask you one football question. Broncos predicted to finish, or at least projected to finish below the Raiders and the Chiefs. So over under 8.5 wins for your Denver Broncos.
Oh, come on. I like this at least 9-7. I think so too. I think the Chiefs are a little overhyped. Raiders are tough. Right? You know, Raiders I like as my Super Bowl pick. And then they say, thanks, Oakland, and head to Vegas. But I like Broncos 9-7. Come on.
All right, Gennady Golovkin -140. Canelo Alvarez slight underdog at +110. Straight wager on Golovkin, submits wager. Are you with me, or are you on the other side?
I like Canelo, man. I think Canelo pulls the upset off.
All right, and finally, over under 50 live comedy shows for you in 2017. I know you've been hitting it hard.
Oh, over, for sure, over. I'm at least, I'm almost at 30 now, so I'm over for sure.
Well, I can't wait to see you perform live when I get the chance. You can find him on social media at Brendan Schaub if you want Showtimes and all that stuff. Dude, we both thought your analysis for Showtime was concise and entertaining. You didn't try to step on anybody else's dicks. We give you a lot of credit for what you were able to accomplish there in a lot of challenging situations. So congratulations on a job well done. Gracious of you to hop on with us today, man, and have a great week. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Pete.
Dude. Hey, I appreciate you guys. Let me say this. I listen to a ton of podcasts, and there's a lot of trash out there, and I constantly always listen to you guys. I've told you this, John, from the start. You know this, Kenny. I love both of you guys, and your guys' podcast kicks ass, man, and I just love both of you guys. You guys are killing it, man. Keep it up.
Appreciate it, man.
Thank you, buddy. All right, there he is, Brendan Schaub, fighter and the kid, Big Brown Breakdown. What a remarkable entrepreneurial spirit that dude has, Kenny. You know, there were a lot of people that inspired me to get into the podcast space, and maybe, I don't know, you to a lesser extent. Yep. I finally dragged you here by that cauliflower left ear. Actually, no, it's the right ear, I think.
No, I'm getting it in the left now, too, though.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. MayRockyBJJ.com, Santa Monica Boulevard. But, you know, guys like Joe Rogan and even more so Brendan Schaub, to see this guy build these shows into giants, and now to own these comedy stages as if he's been doing it his whole life. Very impressed with, the drive and balancing fatherhood as well. Pretty impressive young man right there.
Dude, almost an NFL player, then became a professional UFC fighter.